Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most talked about and mysterious coins in American history, the 1965 Washington quarter. This coin might look like just another piece of spare change in your pocket, but some collectors and experts have uncovered secrets behind certain 1965 quarters that could make them worth thousands, even up to a jaw-dropping $1.8 million under the right circumstances. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this coin is so special, what to look for, and whether the million-dollar claims hold any truth. Let's start with a bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features a profile of George Washington on the obverse and a bald eagle with wings spread on the reverse. It quickly became one of the most iconic pieces of U.S. currency. Now, 1965 was no ordinary year in the world of coins. In fact, it marked a major turning point in U.S. coinage history. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But due to a nationwide coin shortage and rising silver prices, the U.S. Mint decided to stop using silver in circulating coins. Starting in 1965, quarters were made with a copper-nickel clad composition, basically a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. This change made the 1965 quarter the first year of the new clad coins and officially ended the era of silver quarters in circulation. But here's where things get interesting. Even though the Mint officially transitioned to clad coins in 1965, there are strong rumors and a few confirmed examples of 1965 quarters that were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets from 1964. These extremely rare silver 1965 quarters were likely the result of a minting oversight during the transition period. If you happen to find one, you could be holding on to something far more valuable than a typical 25-cent coin. So how do you know if you have a 1965 silver quarter? The first clue is the color. Clad quarters tend to have a duller, slightly grayish appearance with a visible copper stripe along the edge. Silver quarters, on the other hand, have a brighter, shinier finish and no copper color on the edge. A 1965 quarter that lacks the copper band and feels slightly heavier might be struck on a silver planchet. To be absolutely sure, the coin would need to be weighed and tested by a professional. A genuine silver 1965 quarter weighs about 6.25 grams, while the standard clad version weighs 5.67 grams. Now let's talk value. The typical 1965 clad quarter found in pocket change is still worth only face value, 25 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, a regular 1965 quarter may fetch between $1 and $5 depending on its condition and luster. Higher-grade examples certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC might sell for more, but still usually under $100 unless they're in near-perfect condition. However, the silver 1965 quarter is a whole different story. These are among the rarest error coins in modern American numismatics. A genuine silver 1965 quarter has sold at auction for over $7,000 in circulated condition. In high mint state, that value can skyrocket into the tens of thousands. And yes, if a flawless specimen with a documented silver planchet error were to surface with additional historic value, provenance, or certified uniqueness, it could potentially be worth hundreds of thousands, even more. Some claims go as far as estimating a value of $1.8 million. But let's be clear. As of today, there is no confirmed public sale of a 1965 Washington quarter selling for $1.8 million. That figure is more theoretical than historical. It's based on what could happen under extremely rare conditions, like if a silver 1965 quarter in mint state MS68 or higher appeared at auction, with absolute verification of the planchet error, backed by major grading services and serious collector demand. Could it happen? Maybe, but it would be the exception of all exceptions. Besides the silver error, there are other valuable variants of the 1965 quarter worth mentioning. Some collectors seek out double die obverse errors, off-center strikes, or quarters struck on foreign planchets. These minting anomalies, while rare, can add significant value to the coin, especially when authenticated and graded. Some of these errors have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the nature and severity of the error, So if you're going through your coin jar or checking your pocket change, what should you look for? First, check the edge of the coin. If it's missing the copper band and looks like solid silver all the way around, take notice. Next, weigh the coin. A silver quarter should weigh about 6.25 grams, a little heavier than the standard clad version. Finally, check for mint errors, doubling, off-center designs, or anything that looks unusual. That if you suspect you have a rare 1965 quarter, don't clean it, don't damage it, and don't try to alter it. Instead, take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and evaluation. A genuine error or rare condition coin needs to be verified before it can reach its true market value. Now, to wrap this all up, is the 1965 Washington quarter worth $1.8 million? For 99.999% of them, no. Most are worth a quarter. Some may be worth a few bucks if uncirculated. But there are indeed rare versions out there, especially those mistakenly struck on silver planchets that have sold for thousands and could, under perfect circumstances, climb to incredible values. Is it likely? Not very. Is it possible? Yes. And that's what makes coin collecting so exciting. The idea that something as simple as a 25-cent coin could be hiding a secret worth a fortune is what keeps collectors searching and keeps the mystery alive. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive into rare and valuable coins. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a 1965 quarter or think you might have one with a silver planchet. Who knows? Maybe you're sitting on a hidden treasure. Until next time, keep checking your change, keep learning, and as always, happy collecting. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into another incredible coin story that just might change the way you look at your spare change. We're talking about the 1998 P. Washington quarter, a coin you've probably spent without a second thought, or maybe even have sitting at the bottom of a coin jar right now. It's a modern coin, a familiar coin, but under the right conditions, some people believe this small piece of metal could be worth a massive amount of money, even up to $1.1 million. That's right. A simple quarter from 1998 with a Philadelphia Mint mark might be hiding a fortune. But is it really worth that much? What makes this coin special? And how can you tell if you have one of the valuable ones? Let's get into the full story, the facts, the myths, and the potential treasure behind the 1998 P. Washington quarter. To begin, let's talk about the coin itself. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. Originally created to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the original design featured a left-facing portrait of Washington on the front and an eagle with wings spread on the back. This classic design remained mostly unchanged for decades and became one of the most iconic coins in American history. Now, in 1998, the coin was still using this original eagle reverse. It would be the last year before the launch of the 50-state quarters program, which began in 1999 and completely transformed the look and collecting habits of quarters in the United States. So the 1998 P quarter marks the end of an era. It's the final year of the original Washington quarter design before the series took a dramatic and historic turn. That fact alone gives it some significance in the eyes of collectors. The P Mint mark means the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. In that year, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 896 million Washington quarters. That's a huge number, and it means the 1998 P quarter is extremely common in everyday circulation. Most of these coins are still out there, being used for vending machines, tossed in tip jars, or hiding between couch cushions. So how can a coin that's so common have any real value, let alone a seven-figure price tag? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and possible mint errors. Let's talk about condition first. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A circulated 1998 P quarter with wear, scratches, or fading is going to be worth face value, just 25 cents. But an uncirculated 1998 P quarter, one that has never been used and still has its full mint luster, can be worth more, especially if it's been professionally graded and certified. Coins graded mint state 65, 66, or 67 can sell for $10, $20, or even $100 depending on the market, but the real money comes in when you move into near-perfect condition. A 1998 P quarter graded mint state 68 or higher can be extremely hard to find. These coins must have perfect surfaces, sharp strikes, no contact marks, and flawless eye appeal. Very few coins make it to this level, and when they do, collectors compete to add them to their sets. Some of these high-grade coins have sold at auction for several $100s, and in some rare cases, they've crossed into the thousands. Now let's move to the second major factor that can drive value: mint errors. Error coins are some of the most exciting finds in all of coin collecting. They happen when something goes wrong during the minting process, like the coin is struck off-center, the planchet is incorrect, the die is doubled, or the clad layers are missing. These mistakes are rare and fascinating, and depending on the type and severity of the error, they can make a common coin into something extremely valuable. For the 1998 P. Washington quarter, one of the most famous and sought-after errors is the proof-like finish, error, or high-strike specimen-style quarters. There are also reports of off-metal strikes, where the quarter may have been mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, like a nickel or dime. These types of errors are very rare and are often discovered by experienced collectors or those who send coins in for grading and authentication. Another thing to look for is doubling, known as a doubled die. This happens when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly between strikes, causing letters or numbers to appear doubled. If you ever find a 1998 P quarter with noticeable doubling on the date or the word Liberty, it's worth having it professionally evaluated. Now here's the big question: could a 1998 P Washington quarter really be worth $1.1 million? The truth is, no 1998 P quarter has ever sold for that amount publicly. There is no record of any auction or private sale where this coin reached a price even close to $1 million. So where does that number come from? A lot of these wild valuations come from a mix of internet rumors, exaggerated headlines, and misunderstandings about coin grading and rarity. Some articles online will claim a coin is worth millions based on pure speculation or potential future value. But without real auction records or collector demand, those claims don't hold much weight. That said, it's not impossible for a coin to reach that kind of value under the right conditions. For a 1998 P quarter to be worth over $1 million, it would have to be something truly one-of-a-kind, a major undiscovered mint error struck on a completely wrong planchet, in perfect uncirculated condition, and certified by a top grading service. It would need to be something the coin collecting world has never seen before, and then, on top of all that, it would need to appear at the right time, in the right auction, with the right buyer willing to pay for it as a trophy piece. While it's highly unlikely, it's not totally out of the realm of possibility. That's the magic of coins. You never know when a modern coin could turn out to be a hidden treasure. So, what should you look for if you want to check your own 1998 P quarters? First, check the condition. Is the coin shiny, clean, and free from wear? If it looks brand new, it might be uncirculated and worth more than face value. Second, look for any visible mint errors. Is the strike off-center? Are there missing elements? Does the edge look strange or incomplete? Do you see doubling in the text or date? Third, weigh the coin. A normal clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs significantly less or more, it might be struck on the wrong planchet. If you think you found something interesting, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can ruin the surface and destroy any collector value. Instead, take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll be able to tell you exactly what you have and what it might be worth. To wrap it all up, the 1998 P Washington quarter is a common coin with a fascinating place in modern numismatic history. It was the last of the original eagleback quarters before the state quarters series began, making it the end of an era. While most are worth just 25 cents, some high-grade examples and rare error coins can be worth much more. Claims of $1.1 million are not backed by current market data, but in the world of coins, the unexpected can happen. And that's exactly what keeps collectors searching, hunting, and dreaming of their next big find. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a video about rare coins, valuable finds, and the hidden stories behind the change in your pocket. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a 1998 P quarter worth more than face value or if you have questions about coins you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, keep checking your change. Your next big discovery might be closer than you think. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to look closely at the 1995 D Washington quarter. We will explore its history, its design, its rarity, how collectors value it, and we'll also address the wild claim that one of these coins could be worth $1,300,000. Is there any truth to that? Let's get started. Rarest coins. First, a little history. The Washington quarter was originally introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington on the 200th anniversary of his birth. The design by John Flanagan has become one of the most enduring in United States coinage. On the obverse, there is the bust of Washington facing right, surrounded by the inscriptions "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," and the year. On the reverse, one sees a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows beneath two olive branches above the words "United States of America, e pluribus unum." In $2 1965, the United States had stopped producing Washington quarters in silver because silver had become too expensive. Coins had been shifted to a copper core with copper-nickel outer layers. This is what is known as clad coinage. That means by 1995, Washington quarters are very much modern clad coins used in circulation, not precious metal issues. The 1995 D Washington quarter was made at the Denver Mint. The D Mint mark appears on the coin, indicating that origin. Denver produced very large numbers of quarters in most years, including 1995, so these coins are very common in general circulation. People often find them in change piggy banks, coin rolls, anywhere. In 1995, millions and millions of these circulated coins were produced and used. Let's go through the specifications. The coin is about 24.3 millimeters in diameter. It weighs about 5.67 grams. It has a reeded edge. It features the usual Washington portrait, Liberty above or to one side, "In God We Trust," and the date 1995 on the obverse. Furthermore, there is the D Mint mark indicating Denver on the reverse. You see the eagle version, the arrows, the olive branches, the inscriptions that are consistent with the series. These physical and visual features are the same as many of the other Washington quarters from nearby years because of its common nature. Without special features or exceptional condition, the 1995 D Washington quarter, in circulated condition, is usually worth very close to its face value, maybe slightly more. Depending on condition, if heavily worn, it might be worth the same 25 cents. If lightly worn, maybe 50 cents to a few dollars at most. In uncirculated condition, the value rises. Some coins that are uncirculated with nice luster, sharp details may be graded by third-party grading services. The value then might climb into low double digits, perhaps $10 to $30, depending on how perfect the strike is, how clean the surfaces are, whether there are any blemishes, whether the coin has been handled or stored well. Now, where collectors find more interesting value is with coins that have error types or unusual minting defects, perhaps doubling of dies, misaligned dies, off-center strikes, planchet defects, unusual toning, or die cracks, or die chips. Anything out of the ordinary can cause collectors to pay premiums. The rarer the defect and the better preserved the coin, the higher the premium. Let's talk about recent market examples. If you see a 1995 D Washington quarter graded MS65 or MS66, perhaps you might pay somewhere between $20 to $70, depending on eye appeal. Perhaps a coin graded MS67 could reach $100 or more if extraordinary, but even then, those are exceptional coins, not everyday items. Now, to the claim $1,300,000, could a 1995 D Washington quarter ever sell for that much? The short answer is that there is no credible documented sale of one for anything near that amount. The reasons are many. First, because the coin is common, the mintage is massive, so rarity is not in its favor. Second, to get that level of value, a coin would need to be in nearly perfect condition, MS68 or higher. Single coin, few exist in that category, and even extreme high grades for modern clad quarters seldom reach six figures, let alone more. Third, provenance would matter. It would have to be known, documented, credible, and ideally come from a famous collection or a discovery where it's shown to be unique or one of a kind. Fourth, there would have to be a buyer willing to pay that much for what is, after all, a modern circulation issue. Coin so far, coin auction records and sales records do not show anything close to $1,300,000 for a 1995 D Washington quarter. Typical high dollar sales are for rare coins older than that, or those made of precious metal or rare error coins, or highly historic U.S. coins. If someone claimed that their coin of 1995D is worth that much, I would advise caution, get it authenticated by a well-known third-party grader, get good photography, get verification of any error or unique attribute, compare to recent auction results, see what similar coins have brought. Also consider that even among coin collectors, null condition, rarity of striking errors, and market demand all must align. Let's imagine a scenario where a 1995D Washington quarter could command $1,300,000. It would have to be a coin with something extremely rare, perhaps a major and dramatic error unknown elsewhere, perhaps a minting defect so significant only one exists, perfect in all respects, never circulated, with flawless surfaces, perfect strike, perfect fields, no scratches, no hairlines, perfect toning or no toning. If that improves, I appeal. Then also superb documentation and provenance, perhaps once in a famous coin collection or discovered under dramatic circumstances, maybe with historical significance. Then only if there is a buyer who treasures it as unique might such a price be possible. In conclusion, the 1995D Washington quarter is a common modern coin, very modest value in circulated condition, moderate premium in uncirculated condition, error versions, or extremely high grades add extra. But in most situations, it will not break hundreds of dollars, let alone over $1 million. The claim of $1,300,000 remains unsupported by evidence unless a coin that meets all of the most stringent conditions comes to light. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit like, subscribe, share with friends, and leave a comment. If you have a 1995D Washington quarter, tell us what grade it is, where you got it. Maybe one day you'll have something extraordinary. Until then, keep hunting your coins, doing your research, and always verify before believing anyone claiming massive value. See you in the next video, and happy collecting. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to explore a coin that has sparked curiosity, conversation, and even controversy. We're talking about the 1980 Washington quarter with the Philadelphia Mint mark, that little P you might notice on the coin. There are claims floating around online and in collecting circles that a 1980 P Washington quarter could be worth as much as $1.5 million. That's right, a coin you might think is just pocket change could potentially be a hidden treasure. But is it true? Let's dive deep into the coin's history, design, value, and what would actually make one worth a fortune. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features a left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse and a bold eagle on the reverse, perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches. This classic design was minted year after year and became one of the most familiar pieces of American currency. Now, what's special about the 1980 version of this coin? First, the 1980 P Washington quarter marks a notable moment in numismatic history. It was the first year that the Philadelphia Mint began adding the P mint mark to the quarter. Prior to this, coins from Philadelphia typically had no mint mark at all. So this small letter on the front of the coin, next to Washington's ponytail, signifies a major change in how coins were identified. For collectors, this alone gives the 1980 P quarter a little extra significance, especially for those looking to complete a full mint-marked set. Let's talk numbers. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 635 million quarters. That's a staggering amount of coins. So when we talk about rarity, this coin in general isn't rare. In fact, if you reach into your coin jar right now or check your change after a grocery store visit, you might have one of these in your possession. It's common in circulated condition. And for the vast majority of people, a 1980 P quarter is worth exactly 25 cents. But as with all coins, the story doesn't end there. While the average 1980 P quarter is common, certain factors can make individual coins far more valuable. Let's break those down. First, condition is everything in coin collecting. A coin that's been heavily circulated, with wear on Washington's hair, flattened details, and dull luster, is always going to be worth the least. But an uncirculated coin, one that looks like it just left the mint with no wear, sharp strike, strong luster, and flawless surfaces, can command a much higher price. These coins are graded on a 70-point scale, and a coin graded MS-65 or higher, especially MS-67 or above, can bring in serious premiums. Some 1980 P quarters in MS-67 have sold for hundreds of dollars, simply because of their pristine condition and eye appeal. Next, let's talk about mint errors. This is where things get really interesting. A mint error is a mistake that happened during the production of the coin. Maybe the planchet was defective, or the die struck it off-center, or the clad layer was missing on one side. These errors can make a coin extremely valuable, especially when they're rare and dramatic. For example, a 1980 P quarter missing the clad layer on one side has sold at auction for close to $200. And that's not even in perfect condition. Now imagine a coin with a major, one-of-a-kind minting error in flawless, uncirculated condition. That's when the value can skyrocket. So could a 1980 P quarter really be worth $1.5 million? The answer is yes, but only under extremely rare and specific circumstances. For a coin to command that kind of price, it would need to be more than just clean or shiny. It would have to be virtually perfect. We're talking about a coin graded MS-68 or MS-69, which are nearly unheard of in a series like this. It would need to have a dramatic, verified mint error, something that is not only rare, but possibly unique. And it would need to be authenticated and certified by a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC. On top of that, it would need a buyer, a collector or investor with deep pockets who sees the coin not just as a collectible, but as a once-in-a-lifetime trophy piece. And even then, it's important to be clear. There is no verified record of any 1980 P Washington quarter selling for $1.5 million. There are no auction listings, private sales, or dealer transactions that come close to that figure for this particular coin. So where do these claims come from? Often it's from clickbait articles, online rumors, or misunderstandings about grading and mint errors. Sometimes it's wishful thinking or exaggerated headlines designed to get attention. And while it's not impossible, because in numismatics, anything truly is possible, it's extremely unlikely unless something very unusual is discovered. If you believe you have a special 1980 P Washington quarter, here's what you should do. First, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can instantly destroy its value. Second, examine it closely under good lighting. Look for signs of unusual errors, missing layers, off-center strikes, doubling, anything that seems off. Third, consider having it graded by a professional grading service. This will give you an official opinion on its condition, authenticity, and whether it has the potential to be something extraordinary. Coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes it's the most ordinary-looking coin that hides something truly special. The 1980 P Washington quarter is a piece of American history, significant for its mint mark, beloved for its design, and valuable in the right condition or under the right circumstances. So, is there a 1980 P quarter out there worth $1.5 million? Maybe, but it would be the exception of all exceptions. Still, it doesn't hurt to check your change. Because in the world of coins, the next $1 million find could be hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting or helpful, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Let me know in the comments if you've ever come across a 1980 P quarter and what condition it was in. And as always, happy hunting and keep checking your change. You never know what you might find. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of modern coins to talk about a coin that might just be sitting unnoticed in your change jar, the 1995 D Washington quarter. Now, most people wouldn't give a second thought to a coin from the 1990s. After all, it's modern, it's common, and you've probably spent hundreds of them over the years. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, this everyday quarter could be worth thousands, and some people even claim a rare version could be worth as much as $1.2 million? Sounds unbelievable, right? Stick around because today we're exploring the history, value, errors, and wild claims surrounding the 1995 D Washington quarter. Let's begin with the basics. The Washington quarter has been part of American coinage since 1932, when it was introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin has featured Washington's profile on the obverse ever since. The reverse has gone through a few changes over the years, but in 1995, it still showed the classic heraldic eagle clutching arrows and olive branches, the symbol of strength and peace. This design would continue until 1998, just before the launch of the 50-state quarters program. Now, let's focus on the 1995 D specifically. That D mint mark indicates that the coin was minted in Denver, Colorado. In that year, the Denver Mint struck over 1.1 billion Washington quarters. That's billion with a B. With such a high mintage, the average 1995 D quarter is incredibly common. In fact, if you live in the United States, there's a good chance you've had dozens pass through your hands at some point. So how can such a common coin ever be worth more than its face value, let alone $1 million? Well, as with most modern coins, value is driven by a few key factors: condition, rarity, mint errors, and collector demand. Let's talk about condition first. Most of the 1995 D quarters in circulation are heavily worn. You'll see scratches, fading details, and dulled surfaces. These coins are typically worth no more than face value. But if you find a 1995 D quarter that has never been circulated, something with original mint luster, sharp edges, and no signs of wear, now we're talking. Coins in mint state, especially those graded MS65 and above by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can bring in real money. A 1995 D Washington quarter graded MS67 or higher can sell for between $100 and $300, depending on its eye appeal and how many others exist at that grade level. But condition alone isn't enough to push this coin into the $1,000 range or the $1 million fantasy. That's where mint errors come into play. Errors are mistakes that happen during the coin production process. These can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and missing clad layers. The more dramatic and rare the error, the more collectors are willing to pay. One of the most sought-after errors on Washington quarters is a double die. This happens when the coin is struck more than once with a misaligned die, causing doubling of letters or numbers, especially on the date or the word Liberty. If a 1995 D quarter had a strong and clear double die error, especially on the obverse, and it was preserved in mint condition, its value could soar into the thousands. A known error coin in great condition can command serious attention from collectors. Now let's talk about the million-dollar question, literally. Is there any reality to the claim that a 1995 D Washington quarter could be worth $1.2 million? The short answer is highly unlikely, but not impossible. So far, there is no verified public sale of any 1995 D quarter reaching that kind of value. No major auction house, no grading service, no coin dealer has reported such a sale. But that doesn't mean it couldn't happen. It just means it would require a perfect storm. For a 1995 D quarter to sell for over $1 million, it would need to meet some extremely rare conditions. First, it would likely have to be a major mint error that has never been documented before, something dramatic, one of a kind, and easily visible without magnification. Second, the coin would need to be in flawless condition. We're talking about a grade of MS69 or MS70, which is virtually unheard of for business strike coins from the 1990s. Third, the coin would need to be authenticated by a top-tier grading company, and ideally it would need to have a strong backstory or provenance that adds to its historical or collector value. Finally, and most importantly, there would need to be a collector or investor willing to pay such a price, and that depends entirely on the market. There have been coins that fetched over $1 million at auction, but those are usually early American coins, rare gold pieces, or error coins from the 18th and 19th centuries. For a modern clad quarter from 1995 to join that club, it would have to be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and so far, that discovery hasn't been made public. So should you be checking your change? Absolutely. Because while the average 1995 D quarter may only be worth 25 cents, finding one in mint condition or with a rare error could easily make you a few $100s richer, maybe even more. And who knows, the next $1 million coin might be out there, waiting to be discovered in a roll of quarters or tucked away in someone's old coin jar. Here's what you should look for. First, examine the coin's overall condition. If it looks brand new with no signs of wear, you may have something worth grading. Next, look closely at the date, the lettering, and the mint mark for any signs of doubling, distortion, or unusual spacing. Check the edges. Is the reading normal? Is there a visible copper core, or is something missing? Weigh the coin if you can. A standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. Any major difference could point to an unusual planchet or error. And most importantly, if you think you've found something special, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can ruin its value. Instead, take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service for evaluation. To wrap this up, is the 1995 D. Washington quarter worth $1.2 million? For most people, no. But certain high-grade coins or coins with rare mint errors can absolutely be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The $1 million mark is unlikely, but the mystery and excitement of coin collecting is that you never know what you might find. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. The thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the chance that you could stumble on something truly historic. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into rare coins, their history, and their hidden value. Drop a comment below if you found any interesting quarters in your own collection or want us to cover a specific coin next. And as always, keep checking your change. Your next big find could be right in your pocket. See you next time, and happy collecting.